On the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival, I had prepared a full table of dishes, waiting for Erick to come home, but he didn't even glance at it. He just went straight to packing his luggage. He said coldly, "I won't be spending the Mid-Autumn Festival with you this year." I said nothing. I just quietly ate my crab. That night, Erick's first love posted a WeChat moment right on cue. In the photo, she was smiling while lying on Erick's back, and the bright full moon shone through the window. The caption read, "Raising a toast to the moon, together in shadow." I didn't lose control or question him hysterically. I just gave the post a casual like. Then Erick called, a hint of panic in his voice. "Don't overthink it. I swear I'll spend the next Mid-Autumn Festival with you." I paused for a few seconds, then gave a soft laugh and didn't respond. Next time? Oh, Erick, there won't be a next time. Chapter 1. Erick didn't return home until after the holidays. I used to meet him in the garden, but not this time. He sent me a message. "Where are you?" I was having lunch and casually replied, "Eating at home." Soon after, Erick walked in, dragging his suitcase. While changing shoes, he said, "I'm starving. Make me some noodles and a soft-boiled egg." Normally, I would have gone without hesitation, but this time, I calmly replied, "I already ate." Order delivery. Erick shot me a discontented look but swallowed his anger. "I know you're still mad about Mid-Autumn, but can you not make a scene? I'm really tired and just want to eat." I smiled and said, "I'm not mad." He didn't believe me. "Nicole's a girl, alone in Beijing. It happened to be Mid-Autumn. I was just doing the polite thing by keeping her company." I replied flatly, "I know." Erick stared at me, as if trying to see through me. Then he lowered his eyes and asked, trying to stay composed, "Does acting like this make you feel better? I'm exhausted and don't want to fight. Can't you be more understanding?" I looked at him and explained patiently, "I'm not trying to fight. Are you done talking? I need to wash the dishes." After a pause, Erick pulled a necklace out of his pocket and handed it to me. He looked down at me and said, "A gift." The necklace had no wrapping, in sharp contrast to the carefully packaged one Nicole had posted on her social media. I didn't show any joy. I just said politely, "Thank you." Then nothing more. Erick frowned. "That's it?" "That's it," I replied flatly. His face darkened. He held out his palm toward me. "What about mine?" That's when I remembered. "Sorry, I forgot. I'll send you a red envelope. You can buy whatever you want." I sent him 200 yuan via mobile pay. His eyes widened. He clearly hadn't expected this. After all, I always cherished traditions. Exchanging gifts on holidays was our thing, and I had always made the effort, even when he forgot mine. The air grew tense. I changed clothes and headed for the door. Erick called after me, panicked. "Where are you going?" I replied calmly, "Out with my girlfriends." Then I closed the door, ignoring his calls behind me. Since being with Erick, I had canceled all my hangouts, all because he once said he didn't like me fooling around outside. Everyone knew I never showed up to gatherings. They stopped inviting me. But now I can finally enjoy time with my friends again. Chapter 2. After the gathering, my friends half-jokingly complained, "We really thought you ditched us for a man. Don't do that again, okay? No guy is more important than your girls." I nodded in full agreement. From now on, if I have time, I'll come to every gathering. I promise. Ever since I got together with Erick, I had poured all my time and energy into him, whether it was work or daily life. Everything revolved around him, and in the process, I lost my own circle and my friends. Looking back now, what a poor choice that was. I glanced at my phone. Erick had returned the red envelope I'd sent him. By the time I got home, it was already 3 a.m. I switched on the lights, only to find Erick sitting silently on the couch. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating. Seeing me drunk, he didn't get up to help, just gave me that same disappointed look. He spoke with disdain. "Jessica, could you grow up a little? If you were jealous, you could have just said so. You're a married woman, out drinking this late. Do you think that's appropriate?" My head was spinning as I held onto the wall and slowly made my way to the couch. He caught a whiff of alcohol and frowned slightly. Haven't I told you I don't like your friends? You went out and partied with them again? He paused, then added, I told you, there's nothing going on between me and Nicole. We're just friends right now. You didn't need to get drunk over that. I propped up my head and replied irritably, You're overthinking it. I was just happy to see my friends, had a few drinks. That's all. His tone rose with anger. Enough. I already gave you a way to save face. What more do you want? Don't test my limits. My patience isn't infinite. You know, I'm not a saint who can tolerate you endlessly. My head ached. His voice made it worse. I rubbed my temples. Are you done? If so, I'm going to bed. Erick took a deep breath, suppressing his temper. He got up and tried to help me up, but I dodged him. The last bit of clarity in me refused his touch. I stumbled into the guest bedroom and locked the door, ignoring his knocking. That night, I slept soundly, more peacefully than I had in a long time. The next morning, he sat on the couch, silent and stormy. I knew he was angry, but I didn't try to calm him down. After freshening up, I simply left the house. Chapter 3. I went to the dance studio and handed in my resignation. The only reason I'd been dancing there was because it was close to home, convenient for taking care of Erick. But now, there was no need. My instructor tried several times to persuade me to stay. I politely but firmly declined. Just last week, one of the foreign dance companies I had applied to replied. I got accepted. That dance company had always been my childhood dream. I had once turned it down for Erick, but thank God, it's not too late to chase that dream again. After resigning, I wrapped up my responsibilities and called my best friend to share the news. She was overjoyed, but after a pause, asked, What about Erick? Does he know? Did he agree to you going abroad? I smiled faintly. No, he doesn't know. This time, I'm going alone. After finishing my work at the studio, I started preparing my documents for the trip. My parents were divorced. Aside from a few childhood friends, Erick was the only one I had in this country. I used to think, wherever Erick is, that's my home, but not anymore. Now I had no home. I was like drifting duckweed. Wherever I land, that will be home. When I got back, Erick was heading out. He looked sharp in a tailored suit and a dark green tie, very put together. And in his hand, a birthday cake. I knew instantly. Today was Nicole's birthday. He was going to celebrate it with her. He was on the phone, sounding delighted. All right. Stop guessing. If I told you the surprise, it wouldn't be a surprise anymore. Just wait for me to get there. I didn't know what the person on the other end of the call had said, but Erick burst out laughing, the kind of carefree, toothy smile that showed off his canines. Just a simple smile from him was a rare sight to me. He kept smiling until the moment he saw me. Then, as if flipping a switch, his smile vanished. Erick would give Nicole anything she asked for. Yet he couldn't even spare me a smile. His face turned cold in an instant. He didn't say another word, just looked away in disgust. Then he changed shoes briskly, leaving behind only the sharp slam of the door as he left. I knew what this was. Erick was giving me the silent treatment again. We'd fought like this before, always because of Nicole. Back then, I would bend over backwards to make things right, even when he ignored all my messages. I'd still shamelessly try to warm up his cold heart. But now, I was just browsing foreign recipes online, practicing them in the kitchen. I needed to start adapting in advance. Chapter 4. While lying in bed, I saw Nicole's latest post on her moments. Another birthday gift from you this year. Thank you for always being by my side. The comments were filled with praises. One from Erick's friend. So moved. Seeing Nicole this happy makes me happy too. All of Erick's buddies had liked the post. Every single one of them. They had always looked down on me, believing I was the one who came between Erick and Nicole. That if I didn't exist, Erick would surely be happier. I stared at Erick's own comment. Happy birthday, my little princess. Expressionless. I scrolled through their mushy exchange. One friend even wrote, Stop posting, or Jessica's gonna see it and cause a whole scene. I used to gently remind Erick that he should keep a bit of distance from Nicole. After all, She was still another woman. It was about setting boundaries. But Erick's friends called me petty, saying I was too controlling, that I even tried to take away his basic right to make friends. And Erick? He never defended me. He simply agreed with them, then turned around and accused me of being narrow-minded. A woman should be more generous, he said, but I didn't give them the reaction they wanted. I quietly closed the app, opened some short videos, and drifted off to sleep. When Erick got home, I was already asleep. He stormed in, waking me up with a loud voice. "Jessica, your boyfriend is out late at night. And you don't even care? My buddy's girlfriend calls nonstop when he's out. And you? Not even one call. What's your deal?" Huh? Chapter 5. I looked at him in confusion, completely unsure what he was mad about this time. I used to do exactly what he wanted. But back then, he told me, "I'm dating you, not in prison. Please give me some space. I can barely breathe." Now I gave him space, and he accused me of not caring. I really didn't know what he wanted anymore, but I didn't bring up the past. I simply said calmly, "You were out with friends." If I kept calling, it'd look clingy, wouldn't it? "You and Nicole are friends, what's there to worry about?" A flicker of surprise crossed Erick's eyes. Maybe he didn't expect me to mention Nicole in such a calm tone. He quickly recovered and said, "That post on Moments, it was just a keepsake. Don't overthink it. It didn't mean anything." I shook my head, about to speak. But Erick interrupted. "What? You think I shouldn't have gone to her birthday? Nicole and I have been friends for 10 years. Yes, we briefly dated, but now we're just friends. She's a close friend, and it's only right that I went." I gave him a steady look. "I get it. It's late, you should go get some rest." Erick went quiet. He stared at me, trying to read my face, to see if I was really not angry. But after a long moment, he couldn't find an answer in my expression. He reached out to wrap his arms around my waist, but I moved away silently. I said flatly, "Are you sleeping in the master bedroom or the guest room?" Chapter 6. Surprise flashed across Erick's face. I had never rejected his touch before. I used to crave it, embarrassed and annoyed. He slammed the guest room door and ended up in the master bedroom. Once he was gone, I fell asleep instantly. Ever since I stopped overthinking, even sleeping had become easier. The next morning, the dance troupe director called. He had somehow found out I was going abroad. He said he wanted to throw a farewell for me. I quickly declined, so he suggested a small get-together with the dance group instead. At that point, I couldn't say no. What I didn't expect was that Erick would be there too, but it made sense, he was the director's nephew. What I really didn't expect was to see Nicole with him, even at a simple class reunion. Erick still brought Nicole. The moment he saw me, he glanced over, motioning for me to come sit with them. I ignored him. They looked perfect together. I didn't want to disturb their little bubble. Nicole looked at me and smiled with clear provocation. Then she changed her tone and said with faux innocence, "Oops. Sorry for crashing your class gathering. I was just really bored. So Erick brought me along." Chapter 7. Erick opened his mouth several times to explain, but each time, he held back the words. I raised my glass politely. "It's fine, I don't mind at all." Then I lowered my head and took a sip of wine. Throughout dinner, my phone buzzed nonstop. I glanced at it. All messages from Erick. I only brought her because it was convenient. "Don't overthink it. If it bothers you, I won't bring her next time." The last one read, "After dinner, let's go home together." I cleared my throat, lowered my eyes, and replied, "No need. You can take Nicole home." I drove. After that, I focused on my meal and ignored the rest of Erick's messages. Everyone at the table was chatting and laughing, reminiscing about old times. The director of the dance troupe was especially emotional after a few drinks. He stood up with red-rimmed eyes and raised his glass toward me. "Back then, you were the best dancer in the country. Your dream was always to join the top international dance company. But no one knew why you suddenly chose to stay." He paused, then smiled. "But now, finally, you're going abroad. You're going to fulfill your dream. I'm truly happy for you." Come, let me toast to your journey. May your path ahead be smooth. I smiled, touched, and clinked glasses with him before drinking it all in one go. Across the table, Erick sat frozen, as if he had just heard something completely unbelievable. Chapter 8. Uncle, what do you mean? Go abroad? What are you talking about? Erick's voice was tight with tension. The director responded with a chuckle. You didn't know? Jessica's going abroad. This dinner might be the last time we see her. Next time? Who knows when? The director didn't know about my relationship with Erick. So he wasn't surprised Erick didn't know. Erick's eyes turned red. He jumped up, grabbed my arm, and dragged me out. I stood by the wall, staring at him in silence. He spoke first. You're leaving the country? What do you mean? Why didn't you talk to me? Why didn't you tell me? His voice trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. I answered slowly. Oh, that. Well, when I got the news. You were busy taking Nicole to Disneyland. I didn't want to bother you. My voice was polite and distant. It created a chasm between us. Erick's face froze in embarrassment. Still, he grabbed my hand and said, regardless, I'm still your boyfriend. You should have shared something this big with me. I raised my brows slightly. Back then, I told him everything, even the smallest details, but he used to snap. I'm not interested in your stuff. Stop sending useless messages that clog up my phone. Erick sighed quietly. After a long silence, he asked, how long will you be gone? I hesitated, then lied. Maybe 2 or 3 years. I had never planned to tell him. Tonight was just an accident. Erick looked stunned. So long? I nodded slightly. The atmosphere turned heavy. Then Erick sighed again and said, let's go home together after this. His eyes sparkled with expectation, waiting for my response, just as I was about to reject him. Nicole walked out of the room. Her eyes were glassy with drink, and she leaned on Erick's chest like she couldn't stand on her own. Erick glanced nervously at me, tried to push Nicole away, but she clung on tight, panicked. He stammered, Nicole's drunk. We never usually touch, I swear, but it was his explanation that made it feel worse. I gave a calm nod. I understand. Nicole slurred, Erick. I feel so dizzy. Can you take me home? Chapter 9. Nicole's breath reeked of alcohol as she spoke, her words spilling against Erick's neck. Yet he didn't flinch, only showed a flash of helplessness. He had told me before he hated the smell of alcohol, but if it was Nicole? Apparently, it didn't bother him at all. Erick didn't respond to her. Instead, he turned to me and said, just wait a moment, I'll call her a ride. Then we can go home together, all right? Before I could answer, Nicole whimpered again in his arms, rubbing her head against his chest with practiced ease. Seeing that, I spoke calmly. No need. She clearly needs you more tonight. I'll go home by myself. Erick opened his mouth to speak, but I had already stood up, said goodbye to the others, and walked swiftly out of the restaurant. He wanted to follow me, but Nicole clung to his arm, refusing to let go. I called a ride to take me home. The alcohol had started to kick in, and my head was foggy. I sat in the back seat, staring at the city lights outside the window. Suddenly, the lights blurred, and a few silent tears fell. Funny, isn't it? I've lost count of how many times Erick has left me behind for Nicole, so much so that I've gotten used to it. As I passed by couples walking hand in hand along the street, I couldn't help but remember, Erick and I used to be like that too. The car moved on, and those images, just like our memories, grew fainter and fainter. When I got home, a message from Erick popped up on my phone. I've dropped Nicole off safely. She kept throwing up, so I probably won't make it back tonight. Chapter 10. I stared at the screen for a long while, as far as I could remember. This was probably the first time Erick had ever reported his whereabouts to me. In the past, even asking how many people were at his gatherings would get me scolded. Do I really need to report every little thing to you? Isn't that kind of relationship exhausting? I had to coax him for hours before he'd calm down. He even emphasized repeatedly that I should stop interfering in his affairs. I replied to him blandly, okay, but Erick kept explaining. She was throwing up nonstop. And it was way too late. That's the only reason I stayed. Please don't take it the wrong way. I responded again. Simply, okay. Then, there was nothing more from him. That night, I found myself vomiting over and over again in the bathroom. Apparently, Nicole wasn't the only one who drank too much. I had too. I was used to drinking beer. But tonight, a few sips of liquor had already knocked me down. It wasn't until deep into the night that I finally made it back to bed. I tossed and turned. And by morning, dark circles had bloomed under my eyes. When Erick got home, it was already noon. I was eating a bowl of claypot congee I had ordered. If this were before, he would have scolded me for eating junk like this. But today, he surprisingly leaned over and asked, "Is it good?" I looked at him in disbelief, then nodded. He sat down at the table and looked into my eyes. You have no idea how much trouble it is taking care of a drunk person. As soon as she sobered up, I rushed straight home. His tone was full of guilt, but I didn't call him out on it. I just replied calmly, "Oh, sounds exhausting." A flicker of unease crossed his face. He hadn't expected me to be this cooperative. His smile looked stiff. Then he added, "My buddy Oliver and his girlfriend are getting engaged tomorrow. They invited me to the engagement banquet. Come with me, will you?" Chapter 11. Hearing his invitation. I looked up, surprise flashing in my eyes. In the past, Erick would never have brought me to such events. His friends didn't like me, so every time, he brought Nicole instead. Back then, I would have been overjoyed, already digging through my closet for the perfect outfit. But now, I just kept sipping my congee with a blank expression. "Forget it, I wouldn't want to ruin your party." Erick's smile froze. The hand he had reached out with hung awkwardly in the air. He pulled it back, looking embarrassed. He tried to reassure me. "You're my girlfriend. He won't have a problem with you." I looked up at him. To my surprise, he actually seemed serious. I remembered the time his buddies mocked me, saying I was inferior to Nicole. I had looked at Erick, silently pleading for support, but he'd ignored me. When I brought it up later, he said, "They weren't wrong. If you're really my girlfriend, shouldn't you at least be able to win over my friends? Otherwise, what good are you?" But he had always known. His friend's attitude toward me depended entirely on his. I cleared the table and said casually, "I'm busy tomorrow. Maybe ask someone else?" Shock rippled across Erick's face. He clearly hadn't expected me to turn him down so easily. Or worse, suggest he bring someone else. Once, I would have jumped at the chance. But I wasn't lying. I really was busy tomorrow. There were still documents and procedures for going abroad that I hadn't finished. The hope in Erick's eyes faded. His smile vanished completely. He asked nervously, "What are you doing tomorrow?" "I could go with you, if you want." Chapter 12. I replied calmly, "Oh, I've got to take care of some paperwork for going abroad tomorrow. I really can't get away. Your friend's engagement is important, both emotionally and socially. You should be there. I'll be fine on my own." Erick hesitated for a moment, then asked cautiously, "So, if you're not going, should I bring Nicole?" In the past, just hearing Nicole's name would have made me furious. But now, I simply smiled. "Sure." He studied my face, trying to find even the faintest trace of jealousy, but came up empty. He couldn't help asking, "Jessica, why don't you seem jealous at all?" I looked at him, thinking how odd he was. Hadn't he always hated it when I got jealous? "Still," I answered, "what's there to be jealous of? She's your friend, and she gets along with your buddies too. Isn't it natural you'd take her?" He opened his mouth several times to say something, but in the end, just mumbled. Then, tomorrow morning, let me at least drive you to your appointment. I thought about it for a second, then agreed. My head still felt fuzzy from the night before. And honestly, having a ride wouldn't be so bad. Seeing me nod, Erick reached for my hand. I pulled away. His face twisted with confusion and frustration. I explained. I didn't sleep well last night. I'm going to get some rest. You should too. Without waiting for a response, I walked into the bedroom and shut the door. The next morning, Erick was up early and had breakfast ready. After we ate, he picked up his keys and prepared to drive me. I got into the passenger seat. And for a moment, it felt foreign. It had been so long since I last sat in Erick's car. I remembered once on a rainy day, when I forgot my umbrella and asked Erick to come pick me up. He had frowned and said, "You're an independent woman. Why do you need a man for everything? It's just a bit of rain." Later, I saw on Nicole's moments that Erick had gone to pick her up that very day. After that, I bought my own car and never asked him again. Now, in the car, he played music I used to like and tried to make small talk. I smiled politely and responded casually. We hadn't driven far when his phone rang. Nicole. His expression turned anxious, eyes flicking toward me repeatedly. I saw this and said flatly, "Go ahead, pick it up." Nicole's sweet voice filled the car. "Erick, I'm all ready. Come pick me up?" Erick rushed to say, "Just call a cab yourself." That actually shocked me. He had never said no to Nicole before. Nicole was clearly caught off guard too. But she pressed on. "Erick, you know how remote my place is. It's hard to get a cab. And besides, you've always picked me up before, haven't you?" Chapter 13. Nicole continued. "If you don't come pick me up, then I guess I'll just have to walk there." Hesitation flickered across Erick's face. If this had been in the past, he'd have already asked me to get out of the car. Every time Nicole needed him, he would say to me, "We're in the city center, it's easy for you to get a cab. Nicole lives farther out. I have to pick her up. Just get a ride yourself, okay?" Seeing his dilemma, I spoke considerately. "You should go pick her up. Just drop me off at any corner." Erick replied anxiously. "What about you?" "Forget it, I'll take you where you need to go first." I gave him a relaxed smile. "I can grab a cab. It's fine, just stop here by the curb." I pointed ahead. Erick hesitated for a moment, then pulled over. Before I got out, he said, "I'll come home early today." I nodded. He looked at me again, worried. "Are you sure it's easy to get a cab here? If not, I'll skip picking her up." I looked up at him and urged, "It's fine, go on, or you'll be late." Erick's car drove off, leaving behind a trail of exhaust. I finished my errands, looking at the date on my phone. I counted with my fingers. 5 more days, until I leave the country. Back home, I was scrolling through short videos. One popped up of Oliver and his girlfriend sharing a passionate kiss. While people around them teased Erick and Nicole, Oliver turned and laughed. "Bro, your turn's coming. A good woman's right beside you, don't mess it up." As he said that, his eyes glanced at Nicole. Nicole blushed, embarrassed. But in the video, Erick looked visibly unsettled. Right then, a message from Erick arrived on my phone. "Jessica, did you see that video? They were just messing around. It was a joke. Please don't be upset." I replied calmly. "I saw it. It was just a joke. I'm not mad." He didn't reply again, and he certainly didn't come home early. I didn't wait for him. I had dinner, then went straight to bed. Around noon the next day, Erick finally came home. I didn't ask anything, just sat on the sofa and said, "I didn't cook. If you haven't eaten, order something." Changing his shoes at the door, he explained, "Everyone was having so much fun last night, they wouldn't let me leave. So I just crashed at the hotel." Erick had disappeared overnight many times before, but this was the first time he'd ever bothered to explain. I responded with a neutral, then continued watching TV. He finished changing shoes, sat on the sofa, rubbed his temples, and asked, "So, when exactly are you leaving the country?" Chapter 14. I said calmly, "Next Monday." "I've already bought the ticket." The air froze. Then Erick finally broke the silence. He looked at me, visibly agitated. "Jessica, I think we really need to talk." I can't take this kind of relationship anymore. I looked at him, puzzled. What's wrong? Isn't this what you always wanted? Hadn't he always asked me to be more understanding? Now that I was. He still wasn't satisfied? Erick frowned. Is this because of Nicole? I stayed silent. He bit his lip and went on. If you're upset about my relationship with Nicole, then I'll cut ties with her, for you. But please, don't keep acting so indifferent like this. Can we go back to how things used to be? His eyes were full of pleading. As if he had made some earth-shattering decision, I replied slowly. You're overthinking it. I really don't mind anymore. Who you choose to be friends with is your right. I don't have any say in it. But deep down, I was surprised. I never thought Erick would so easily offer to cut Nicole off. Back then, no matter how much I cried, argued, or even threatened to break up, he never once considered letting her go. He froze, staring at me. I've already made a huge compromise. He said, if you don't believe me, I'll call Nicole right now. He pulled out his phone and dialed her number, putting it on speaker. Nicole's voice came through, bright and cheerful. Erick, did you miss me? Chapter 15. Nicole's words slipped out too naturally, and Erick's expression turned awkward and panicked. He quickly interrupted her. All right, Nicole, enough with the jokes. Nicole hadn't expected him to react that way. This must have been how they usually spoke in private. She froze for a moment. Then Erick continued. Nicole, I think we should keep our distance from now on. After all, I have a girlfriend. Nicole looked as though she'd heard the most absurd thing. What did you just say? Say that again? Erick took a deep breath. I said, we should talk less from now on. Got it? His voice rose slightly. Nicole fell silent for a beat, then let out a bitter chuckle. I see. So you're jealous. Possessive girlfriend threw a fit again? She's so petty, probably doesn't have many friends. So she's jealous of what we have. With each word Nicole said, Erick's face grew darker. I could only imagine how many nasty things they'd said about me behind my back. Finally, Erick snapped. Enough. Know your place. Jessica is my girlfriend. You don't get to talk about her like that. From now on, don't contact me again. Let's end this peacefully, without waiting for a reply. He hung up. The phone rang again almost immediately, but Erick didn't pick up. Instead, he looked at me, eyes low, voice soft. See? I've cut things off with her. From now on, let's focus on us. I'll stay home, wait for you, and behave myself. I promise. He raised 3 fingers like a child taking an oath. I stared at him, stunned. I had originally planned to break up with him when I left the country. But now, maybe it needed to happen sooner. I opened my mouth, ready to say it, but I might not need you to wait anymore. We should Before I could finish, Erick raised his hand and pressed it gently against my lips. I looked at him. His eyes were red, tears brimming in the corners. Chapter 16. The soft pattering sound on the floor. I realized it was Erick's tears. In the past, I would have rushed to wipe them away, heart aching for him. But this time, I did nothing. I simply watched. So even someone like Erick could cry for me? Choked with emotion, he looked into my eyes. Jessica, let me go abroad with you. I knew that saying those words meant he had made a huge decision. All his friends and family were here. His entire career rooted in this country. If he followed me abroad, he'd have to give it all up. I turned my face away. I thought I had long passed the point of feeling anything, but standing here, my heart still ached. And yet, I opened my mouth, forcing out the words, I'm sorry, Erick. Please, don't do this. Erick stepped forward and hugged me tightly. His tears soaked through my shirt. Jessica, I'd give up everything I have here. For you, I want you. Please take me with you. I used to be soft-hearted, but this time, I pushed him away. Erick, let's break up. We've always belonged to different worlds. And now, I'm tired. I just want to return to mine. Erick couldn't stop crying. his voice hoarse with desperation. No, no, I don't accept that. If I don't agree, it doesn't count as a breakup. I laughed bitterly. You should be happy, shouldn't you? You never wanted to share your life with me. Never wanted me to interfere. Well now, after today. No one will. He gripped my shoulders, begging. I promised, didn't I? I'll spend every holiday with you, from now on. I swear. I brushed his hands away, still smiling bitterly. Too bad. There is no more from now on. Chapter 17. Erick sobbed uncontrollably, clinging to me, insisting he wouldn't agree to a breakup, that he wanted to go abroad with me. I couldn't fight him off anymore. So in the end, I agreed. He held me tightly, eyes filled with the joy of getting back what he thought he had lost. And I bitterly allowed myself to enjoy that one last embrace. One morning, I quietly packed my suitcase. As I opened the door, I looked back at Erick. He was still sleeping. In a whisper, I said, "Goodbye." I glanced once more around the home we had shared. If nothing unexpected happened, that would be the last time I ever saw it. This time, I was leaving the country for good. I planned to settle down there. I went to the airport alone by taxi and sat in the waiting area, waiting for my flight to board. My phone lit up again and again. Messages from Erick. Where are you? Where did you go? Why won't you answer me? I'm at the airport. Where are you? I need to see you. Reading those messages, my eyes began to well up with tears, but I didn't reply. I put my phone away. I didn't have the courage to face him one last time. After all, he was someone I had truly, deeply loved. The notifications kept coming, but I ignored them all. I let out a sigh and walked toward the boarding gate. That was when a voice suddenly cried out behind me. Jessica, how am I supposed to live without you? It was Erick, screaming like his soul was tearing apart, as if he had thrown every last piece of strength into that cry. Chapter 18. My back stiffened, but I didn't look back. I stepped through the boarding gate, pulled out my phone, and glanced at his last message. Jessica, you lied to me. I let out a bitter smile and typed my reply. You've lied to me so many times. I guess this time, it's my turn. I remembered all the times. Erick swore he was just going to a normal get-together. Said Nicole wouldn't be there. And every time I found out the truth, I remembered the pain of being lied to. I wondered, would Erick feel the same way now? When I landed abroad, someone from the dance company was already waiting. They brought me to a small apartment, not big, but cozy and fully equipped. I didn't reply to Erick's messages. Instead, I blocked him. There was no point in keeping him in my life. From now on, he had no place in it. A year passed. I gradually adapted to life in the UK. I made new friends. I achieved my childhood dream. But one dream, the one I had when I grew up, never came true. I used to dream of marrying Erick, starting a family with him, but that dream was destined to be buried. One day at work, an unfamiliar number popped up on my screen, a domestic call from home. I knew who it was. Still, I answered. On the other end, Erick was sobbing so hard, he could barely breathe. His voice trembled with pain as he asked. It wasn't 2 or 3 years, right? You lied again, didn't you? I paused, then answered with calm resignation. I'm not coming back. Erick, please don't call me again. I hung up, and with that, cut the last thread tying us together. I looked up at the towering skyline outside. From now on, Erick and I would be 2 parallel lines, never to meet again.